That was almost the worst April Fool's joke the Magic could have ever given us. But the Magic get the win. We can at least take solace in that. The message Jamahl Mosley sent after the Magic barely beat the Portland Trailblazers today on Locked On Magic.
You are Locked On Magic, your daily Orlando Magic podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And you are indeed Locked On Magic. Today is April 2nd, 2024. My name is Philip Rossman-Reich. I'm the expert and site editor over at OrlandoMagicDaily.com. Chris, follow me on Twitter at PhilipRR_OMD. On today's episode of Locked On Magic, the Orlando Magic barely defeat the Portland Trailblazers. Why Jamahl Mosley had to send a message to his team and to everybody else that this is unacceptable. Yes, we've reached that magical time when winning's not enough. We'll talk about the standard the Magic want to uphold on today's episode of Locked On Magic. But before we do any of that, we want to thank you again for making Locked On Magic part of your day every day, no matter when you listen to us, whether it's first in the morning, whether it's right when we upload. We truly appreciate you making Locked On Magic part of your day every day. Remember, there's a great Locked On podcast covering every single team in the NBA. Just search for Locked On and the team you're looking for. The Locked On Podcast Network. It's your team every day. Today's episode of Locked On Magic is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. After the Orlando Magic defeated the Portland Trailblazers, by the way, on a great defensive play by Jalen Suggs, so got to give credit where credit's due. We'll get to some of the descriptions and pictures here in a minute. After the Orlando Magic's win over the Portland Trailblazers, Jamahl Mosley did something that I don't think we've seen him do. Something that we are used to here in Orlando. It is something that Steve Clifford did and Stan Van Gundy did, but something that is new from Jamahl Mosley as a coach. Before our good friend Jane Savage of OrlandoMagic.com was able to get that first question out, the kind of opening line of the press conference, Jamahl Mosley said, I want to stop right there. And I actually want to read the full quote that I wrote down at least. I want to stop you right there, he said. Before we start, quote, before we start, you're going to ask to talk about the Magic standard and how we play. That wasn't it tonight. I want to start that right away. Portland, give them credit for how they battled and stayed in the game. We have to be better. Very simple. We have to play a better style of basketball where we don't play with the game, respect the game of basketball, and play the right way from the beginning to the end, unquote. Now, unlike Steve Clifford or Stan Van Gundy, that was not the last word of it. Mosley took questions. That's not Jamahl Mosley's style. But to come out and make such a clear-throated statement to the media, a clear-throated statement to the world that surely echoed what he told his team in the locker room, that is an expectation-shifting game. That is an expectation-shifting statement. No longer are we satisfied with wins. We've had 44 of them. You can see it on the sheet there if you're watching on YouTube. There it is. Let it zoom in there. There it is. 44 wins. They have 44 of them this year. That's a lot of wins. This Magic team can compete. They can win. They can do the job. But that's not enough. That's not everything anymore. And certainly not against a team like Portland, who is 19-56. No, the Magic have to be about playing their brand, playing their style of basketball. And quite frankly, Jamahl Mosley's right. Yes, the Magic won. Yes, the Magic deserved to win. Yes, the Magic were clearly the better team. But Portland outworked them. Portland forced Orlando to be uncomfortable for long stretches of the game. And Orlando, frankly, looked like they were playing with their food. Orlando got up by as much as 15 points in the third quarter, and it finally looked like Orlando was about to get some breathing room, and then the ball stopped moving. Then the Magic stopped attacking the paint. Then the Magic started turning the ball over. Then Portland started hitting threes as the defense got a little bit relaxed. Then Orlando suddenly found themselves in a close game having to execute. And again, credit where credit's due. Orlando executed, but they were up 9 again with 3 minutes to go. The Magic extended that lead back out. Then came the turnovers. Then came the threes. Then came the mistakes and missteps that brought Portland back within the game. And at the very, very end, Portland had the chance to win. Now, I will grant, I did think the last play was a good one, if not a little bit delayed. Franz Wagner, I thought, went a little bit late on that last drive. He did a good job attracting defense to him, kicked out to an open Paolo Banchero 3 in the corner. That was a good look. Banchero missed it. I'll live with that. But the Magic needed to get a stop to win the game. And to be sure, we'd be having a similar but very different conversation tonight if the Magic lost this game. If that Scoot Henderson was able to get past Jalen Suggs, which he was not. Jalen Suggs just stonewalled him. The rookie got rooked in a major way. And the ball squirted out DeAndre Ayton. Jonathan Isaac closed out really hard on him. Ayton missed a shot short. Magic survived 104-103. Again, games are not won or lost on the last plays of the game, but Portland outworked Orlando all night long. They were the more urgent and more desperate team. Orlando played like, we can turn this on and we can run away with this thing, taking seemingly the wrong lesson from Saturday's game against Memphis. I said it throughout the day. I wrote about it. On Orlando Magic Daily. Truly believe this. If Orlando played with the same defensive intensity that they played Saturday, they would have a similar result. And look, Orlando played some really good defense. They did some really good things. And they put themselves in a position to have the same kind of result as Saturday. But then they let go of the rope. Then they didn't play super hard. They understood that the margin for error against a team like Portland is very wide, that you can make mistakes, that you can be imperfect and get away with it, because as hard as Portland tried, and look, they played really well. And you know, we as Magic fans and Magic observers have been in this situation before over the last decade. We understand that, you know, in a 5-game sample, when you're a team like Portland, you're going to have a chance to win maybe 2 games, and it's a struggle to win either of those 2 games you have a chance to win. This was Portland's chance to win. And they played like they understood that it's rare that they're going to have a shot to win a game like this. They understood that they were, you know, I think Jalen Suggs said it. They understood you have to go take the game. The game's not going to be handed to you. You got to take it. And ultimately, that's what the message is about here. Respect your opponent. Orlando does lead the league now in wins against teams with records below 500. I think they have 27 of them. They've taken care of their business in these kinds of games. But they didn't respect the opponent. They thought they could just show up and win. And they played like it, because they played passive. They played slow. They picked it up when they had to pick it up, and they picked it up and they were able to dominate the game, and then they just stopped. The defense was statistically good, but okay at best. And look, that's not going to get the job done. I know I have said it on this show for months now. When the Magic play teams like Portland, they're not playing the Portland Trailblazers. No offense to Portland. They're not playing the Portland Trailblazers. They're playing against their standard. I know I said this after the loss, after the Magic beat the Raptors. I know I've said this throughout the course of the season. The Magic are playing to a standard. They're not playing the opponent anymore, because they know where they're going. They know what's down the road and what they have to do. They know what's coming down the pike. They don't know, but they conceptually know that they've got to play better, that they've got to play their best basketball. And Monday night was not it. Jamahl Mosley's 100% right. Monday night was not it. The effort was at 75%. I'll be generous. It can't be at 75%. Not when the Blazers are playing at 110% like they were. Not in the playoffs when you had to be at 120%. The percentages don't make sense. Don't worry about it. It's for illustrative purposes. The Magic know they have to be more intense, more urgent, and it nearly cost them a major game. Look, we know what the standings are at this point. We went over them yesterday. We know that every game is going to matter, that the standings aren't going to be settled or shaken out until after the season ends. Losing a game like this would have been killer. Would have put a lot of pressure heading on the road. Would have made it a 4-4 homestand, which would have been a disaster. 5-3 is okay. Not good, not bad, just okay. The Magic know they have to play better. And now heading on the road for 5 of their final 7 games, going on the road now to play New Orleans and Charlotte with only really only 1 game left now against an opponent that is not in the playoff picture. Only 2 games left now against opponents with records below 500. And that's Charlotte and Chicago on Friday and Sunday. Going on the road for this difficult finish of the season, the Magic have no opportunity to have a slip up like they did Monday night. So what is the standard? Everyone talks about the standard. Well, we'll talk about the things the Magic didn't uphold of the standard and what that means coming up here in just a moment. But first, today's episode of Locked On Magic is brought to you by BetterHelp. Sometimes we all need the opportunity to get something off our chest, certainly big or small. Certain things can really start to get to you. It's important to let that out, especially to someone who's unbiased on your life. So today, I want to thank Jamahl Mosley for getting something off his chest. Obviously, he was frustrated and unhappy with how his team played. I'm sure he's happy that they got the win, but he wants to hold his team to a higher standard. He wants to hold them accountable. He's, biased. He definitely loves his players and wants to fight hard for his players. He went the extra step to get that emotion out, gave us some copy, gave us a story, but really did it to help his team be better. That's what getting things off your chest can do. And look, there is so many more important things in your favorite sports team. I know I have a lot that I have to get off my chest, just to release, just to let go. We all have it. Therapy can truly be different for everyone, but it's important to get things off your chest every once in a while. If you're thinking of starting therapy, give BetterHelp a try. It's entirely online, designed to be flexible and suited to your schedule. Visit BetterHelp.com/LockedOnNBA to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/LockedOnNBA. We want to thank you for making Locked On Magic part of your day every day. For your next listen, be sure to check out the Locked On Sports Today 24/7 streaming channel. Some of us work from home like me. We can get tired of the shouting heads when we want to watch sports. It seems like all Fox Sports and ESPN have on TV all day are people shouting at each other. Nobody wants to be shouted at. It gets your blood pressure up. It makes you feel angry and emotional. That's what they want. If you let that happen, they win and you don't become a smarter sports fan. Listen to what the pros listen to. Listen to the Locked On Sports Today 24/7 streaming channel. With the Locked On 24/7 sports streaming channel, you get a free streaming channel programmed for you every day to bring you the biggest sports stories without all the screaming. Locked On Sports Today brings you can't miss analysis, opinions, and news streaming 24/7 on YouTube or the free Amazon Fire TV channels app. That's part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. We've heard Jamahl Mosley, we've heard several Magic players talk about this over the course of the last few weeks. Like, we all know the playoffs are coming. Call Paul Revere. The playoffs are coming. The playoffs are coming. One if by qualifying, 2 if by playing. We know it's coming. And so the Magic are trying to prepare themselves. They're trying to set who they are. And we know who they are. We know what their identity is. That they're trying to make sure that they stay on task. Ultimately, what the goal is, and the disappointing part about Monday's game, ultimately the goal is that the Magic want to play their best basketball 2 weeks from today. 2 weeks from today, they will be done with the regular season and heading into the playoffs. 2 weeks from today, they will be locked into the biggest challenge of their professional careers. And of course, challenges only get greater with each passing game and each passing day. It's fun. Like, I'm looking forward to the playoffs. I'm excited. I'm planning what my coverage plans are going to be. Like, I'm really excited about what's coming ahead. But to get there, the Magic have to establish what the benchmarks are, especially at this time of the season, to make sure they're on task. Look, we had 3 disappointing losses last week. The loss to the Kings, the Warriors, and the Clippers. were all really disappointing for a lot of reasons, mostly because of the result. But I would tell you this, Jamahl Mosley and his staff were probably happier with those losses than they were with the win on Monday. Because in those losses, the Magic made mistakes. Sure, they missed some key shots. They lost the game. And as Franz Wagner said after Monday's game, right now, winning is the most important thing and the standard is second. But they would also tell you that, look, we did a lot of things really well. We held a really good Clippers offense to 100 points. We held a really good Warriors offense to 101 points, whatever it was. They will point to those things and say, if we do this, if we play this way more, we got to find some offense, but if we play this way more often than not, we are going to win. In those games, we got beat by a Kawhi Leonard jumper. Can live with that. Got beat on a questionable foul call. It's frustrating, but you can live with that. You got 3 wide open looks for 3 in that game against the Kings. Didn't make them. You can live with that. It's hard, but you can live with it. The turnovers in the Golden State game, not going to live with that. But, again, it's the bigger scope of it was that they did the things that they're supposed to do. And what are those things? Obviously, it starts on defense. This is a defensive-minded team. That defense is their backbone. It is the crux of everything that they do. When the Magic talk about playing to a standard, that's where everything starts. And so while I think there's a lot to be disappointed in the win over the Blazers, at the end of the day, the Magic still only gave up 103 points. It was like a 107 defensive rating. The Magic's defense did the job. And when push came to shove, when the Magic had to get a stop on that last possession, Jalen Suggs had the defensive play of the game. And there were a lot of good defensive plays in this game. Wendell Carter played some fantastic defense. We'll get to the box score here in a minute. But in the most important play of the game, the Blazers gave the ball to their rookie, Scoot Henderson, asked their future star to take the last shot, and Jalen Suggs prevented him from Scoot Henderson ended the game on his butt. Like, Jalen Suggs stonewalled him. It was awesome defense. Awesome disruptive physical defense, no call. It was perfect. That's who the Magic are. That's part of what makes them them. It's part of what makes this Magic team work. And so that is where everything starts. From there, it's about winning the paint. And that's the part that was disappointing in Monday's game. It's been a little bit lagging here and there, but the Magic's whole offensive philosophy is we're going to use our size and our skill to put pressure on the rim. We want to collapse the defense, kick out for spray out threes. We want to get to the basket, get to the foul line. This is what the Magic are about. And look, Orlando got to the line for 27 free throws. They're 21 for 27 from the foul line. Not a great percentage, but not terrible for them either. Orlando, though, scored only 44 points in the paint, 22 of 34 from the paint. This is a team that averages around 52 points in the paint per game. So again, they missed 8 points off their average. If they get to 55, they usually win. More alarmingly in this game, they gave up 48 points in the paint, which is good defense. Magic, I think, give up 49, so below average, good paint defense, but ultimately the Magic lost the paint in this game. And that cannot happen. Just like giving up offensive rebounds, 11 offensive rebounds for 23 second chance points. Just like turnovers, 16 turnovers for 19 points. This Magic team, the advantage that they have over a lot of teams, and I've heard some people question whether this will become an advantage or something that's a little bit concerning when they get to the playoffs. The advantage that this Magic team has is they will work harder than everybody else. That is who they are. They will work harder than you. They're going to play harder than you. They're going to scrap and fight. And that's how they make up their shooting deficit. That's how they make up their talent deficit, whatever they have there. They will beat you to 50-50 balls. And in this game, Portland won all of those plays. There are a lot of them. And Orlando, I won't say all of them, but Orlando won a few of them. But Portland played with higher energy. And that cannot happen. Like that, Portland has to play. That's how you make up for talent, is you play with more energy than the other team. You just kind of you kind of take the team back with like, hey, chill guys, like calm down. Does that work in the playoffs? We're going to find out. But this Magic team has worked and has stunned people because they play so hard. And it just felt like they let off the gas pedal on that a little bit in Monday's game. And so, again, that's part of the standard. You defend at a high level. You take care of the glass. You win the paint. You play harder than your opponent. You play beyond hard. That's who this Magic team is. And we know a lot of this team's patterns for success. You win the paint, you win the game. I know that's something I've said a million times this season. They're not a heavy three-point shooting team. So 32 attempts is okay for them, 11 for 32. They're better off closer to 30. But Paolo Banchero had 7. Paolo Banchero 6 for 17, 2 for 7 from 3. That makes him 4 for 10 out from 2-point range. He had 2 free throw attempts. To me, that says he's not driving. He's not trying to get downhill and get to the basket. And again, I know teams are loading up and putting 3 on the ball on him, like forcing him to be a passer. And he got a fair amount of assists, 4 assists. But he's got to get downhill. Like, that's Magic basketball. And so at the end of the day, look, the Magic played enough of it to win this game. We're not going to take anything away from the win. The Magic were the better team. They played poorly and still won, and probably should have won more comfortably than they did. But as we know, this isn't how the Magic are going to win games in the playoffs. And ultimately, that's what the standard is. The Magic have to do the things that they will do in the playoffs. And if that happens, then the Magic will find themselves in a very, very good spot. We'll go through the final box score, talk a little bit about individual performances that we saw during this game. It's not all bad, I promise. We'll get to that coming up here in just a moment. But first, it's time for a quick word from our friends over at Game Time. It's getting to be playoff time. Playoffs are on their way to Orlando. Tickets aren't on sale yet. Tickets are on sale to season ticket holders, I'm sure, but not on sale yet. We're eagerly awaiting when Game 3, Game 4, or hopefully Game 1 or Game 2 will be. And if you want to be front row, if you want to be in the Kia Center for the Magic's playoffs, then you gotta check out Game Time. Game Time is your place to get last-minute ticket deals and find the best prices for tickets. Game Time is now an authorized ticket marketplace in Major League Baseball if you want to head down to St. Petersburg and check out the Tampa Bay Rays, which makes getting tickets even faster and easier. Prices on the Game Time app actually go down the closer it gets to first pitch. So again, you want to take that last-minute trip to St. Pete, go see the Rays, that's your ticket right there. With killer last-minute deals, all-in prices you've used from your seats and their lowest price guaranteed, Game Time takes the guesswork out of buying MLB tickets or really tickets to any event. Look, I went to a Rays game last year. I bought my tickets on Game Time. I loved the experience on Game Time. I had a small problem dealing with the MLB app. Game Time helped me to make sure I had the tickets in my hands so me and my group that went to the game would only have to worry about having a good time at the Trop. That's really what's fun about Game Time. They give you great view. They give you the great virtual view of your seat so you know exactly what it's going to look like and you know you're getting the best prices. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONNBA. That's LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. Okay, let's go through the final box scores. The Orlando Magic defeat the Portland Trailblazers 104-103. Again, this was a game that there were good performances. There's a lot I liked about what the Magic did defensively, especially. There are some good offensive moments. Nothing was sustained. Again, that to me is, I think, the bigger issue. It's the Magic showed us they can play well. They showed us they can dominate this game. They led for most of this game. They were up 15 in the third quarter. It finally looked like they were about to run away with this thing and put this game away. Then Portland made a run. The bench group just couldn't get anything to go in. They couldn't score. They were struggling to get stops. And suddenly that lead creeped all the way back down. Orlando built the lead back out to 9. Franz Wagner had some great plays, including a great cut and a Jalen Suggs pass to him off the inbounds for an and one that made it a 9-point game with about 3 minutes to play. There were just several moments where it felt like the Magic were about to put this game away if they could just play with any level of consistency. And then that consistency went out the window, and the Magic suddenly found themselves just unable to operate and unable to get that last little bit that they needed to get over the hump and put themselves in that position that they needed to win the game. That's ultimately where this game turned, was the Magic just couldn't sustain the few moments that they did play very well and did look like the playoff team and juggernaut that they are, did look like the team that could blow the doors open like they did against Memphis. Those moments just weren't long enough. But there were good moments. So again, it's the standard is as much about consistency as it is about anything else. It's about sustaining that effort and intensity throughout the course of a 48-minute game. It's respecting your opponent to know we've got to be locked in and treat them with respect, or they're going to pick us apart, because these are NBA teams. I don't care how low down the list of NBA players you think these guys are. They're NBA players. They're capable of winning any game. And clearly they proved that in this one, because the Magic just, again, they settled. Like, honestly, I have to say that 11 for 32 from 3. 32 is okay for attempts for them. I prefer them closer to 30. Not enough paint points, only 34 field goal attempts in the paint. To me, that means that Portland, their zone defense, it worked. And they survived whatever, little spurts the Magic had from 3. And they got some, good 3-point shooting. Gary Harris made 2 for 6. Jalen Suggs made 2 for 5. Mo Wagner made 2 for 3 in the second quarter. Paolo was 2 for 7. They survived those. They figured they could survive those and give themselves a chance. And look, Portland played above their heads. I want to give them credit. They played extremely hard. They hustled. They ran. They played their game. They made some shots. They really struggled in the first half with their threes. It felt like the Magic were defending them the way that a lot of teams defend Orlando. They were 2 for 14 from 3 in the first half. They were 9 for 17 in the second half. They got 3 threes from Ryan Repair. They got 4 for 8 shooting from 3 from Delano Banton. And it just felt like Orlando was just going to be fine letting them shoot it. And they never really adjusted. They were just selling out completely on collapsing the paint. And, maybe that's the right strategy. Portland's not a good 3-point shooting team. They don't have a lot of good 3-point shooters right now. But especially as the lead came down, that adjustment really hurt. And again, Orlando was turning the ball over. They just left that door open. Let's talk about individual performances. Franz Wagner had a really nice game offensively, 20 points, 6 for 10 shooting, 7 for 9 from the foul line, 6 rebounds. One of the few guys that was just on the attack all night long. And look, that's how Franz has to play right now, because he's not a great mid-range shooter. His three-pointer hasn't really gone for him, but he really did a great job attacking the paint, making things happen, putting pressure on the rim. That's Magic basketball. Franz Wagner had a very good game. So too did Jalen Suggs. 15 points, 7 assists, 5 for 8 shooting, 2 for 5 from 3, 3 for 3 from the foul line, 2 blocks. He was flying all over the place defensively. I thought he was a little bit out of control defensively, just chasing blocks. So was Jonathan Isaac. So was Wendell Carter. But Jalen Suggs had an excellent game, defended really well on Scoot Henderson. Henderson made some tough shots on him, but I really liked the way that he played. And again, just brought the energy to Magic. Need a little too frenetic at times, but made offensive plays, made smart decisions. Wendell Carter also, I thought, had a really nice game. 17 points, 13 rebounds, 6 for 10 shooting. Only 1 for 4 from 3, only 4 for 7 from the foul line. So some things to clean up there. But, and a lot of people are going to point to that one play in the fourth quarter. Wendell Carter had a play, great slip. Suggs found him slipping to the basket. Carter fumbled the pass, and so he had to dig down to grab it, to grab it and settle it. He is not an explosive leaper. And I know I've said this a lot. That part does concern me when we get to the playoffs. And this play was exactly why. A lot of people blamed Carter for opening that door. And again, it was a play that opened the door. No doubt about it. It was a big play. If Carter is able to make that layup, and that's a huge momentum play, because it's just such a great read from Jalen Suggs, a great slip. Absolutely fantastic stuff from him. But that's, he didn't make the play. He had to dig down, gather the ball, allowed the defense to recover. They surrounded him. They blocked the shot. Magic missed an opportunity there. But otherwise, Carter was great. Like, Carter was really good. Worked around the basket, didn't settle for threes, defended really well. I thought he did a great job on DeAndre Ayton when they were matched up one-on-one. But Ayton, was able to get a lot of offensive rebounds because Carter had to come over and help a lot. There's a little bit of over-helping, but I really like, I'm a Wendell Carter fan. We talked about him on yesterday's show. I think he's really important for this team. When he's aggressive, when he's active around the basket, this team is very, very different, and they played that way for a good chunk of this game. Magic got very little from their bench. Every starter was plus and their plus minus. Every bench player was minus in their plus minus. Jonathan Isaac was even minus 12, which is very rare for him. Only 6 points, 2 for 4 shooting. Mo Wagner had 8 points, 3 for 4 shooting. Cole Anthony was 9 points, 3 for 6 shooting, including 1 3. Just didn't get a lot from the bench. And look, the Magic had a 10-point lead entering the fourth quarter. That lead got cut in half very quickly. Orlando, I think, only had 2 points, 4.5 minutes into the fourth quarter. They scored only 21 points in the fourth quarter. Just not the kind of close. Really drained the energy, gave Portland a huge boost, huge shot in the arm. And look, Orlando built a 9-point lead in the fourth quarter still. They still rebuilt that lead and gave it away in the final 3 minutes. But Orlando just got nothing from their bench. Very rare game for that. They happen. There are aberration games during the course of a season. So I'm not going to be concerned about one bad game. I know there's a lot of concern, and Mosley was right to make the message that he made. I'm not concerned about one bad game. Give me 2-3 bad games, then I start getting concerned. Then I start worrying. So again, like so many other things, what the Magic do next, what the Magic do Wednesday night in New Orleans, that matters more. Jamahl Mosley made his message. He made his statement. We've got to play to our standard. We did not play to our standard Monday night. We have to be better. We can't afford losses to teams like Portland. We cannot afford to let up and potentially give games away. So now the question is, okay, how do you play in the next game? How do you play in New Orleans? How do you respond to that message? That is the ultimate next question for the Orlando Magic. And, it's one that we will get here on Wednesday night. Save Paolo Banchero for the end. Not a good game for Paolo. Not a good game. And I would say, honestly, that is like a third or fourth straight bad game from Paolo. He was good on Saturday, but he's been bad for the last 5 games. Let's put it that way. 15 points, 6 for 17 shooting, 2 for 7 from 3, 4 rebounds, 4 assists. Not very good defensively either, just not particularly locked in defensively. And, Banton had a really good game. He guarded Delano Banton. Banton had 26 points. He guarded Jabari Walker. Walker had 18 points. Maybe he was on Ryan Rupert a little bit, 11 points for Ryan Rupert. Just not a very engaged game defensively. And it showed on offense because Paolo was settling for jumpers. He wasn't getting to the rim. He wasn't getting to the foul line. Part of Paolo's diet is he gets to the line for 6 free throws. He gets 3 trips to the line every game. He just was not getting to the basket. And look, when Orlando built their lead, he was. That's the thing. We saw the Magic play well enough and to their standard well enough to build a lead, to have control of this game from almost start to finish. But it wasn't always consistent enough. And that starts with Paolo. It always starts with your star. He set the wrong tone in this game, and he's got to be aggressive. I don't know if he's feeling some fatigue and not wanting to attack the basket as much. He's obviously facing a lot of double and triple teams. So, I'm not going to sit here and pretend that as you got to do this or that. He's got to learn to absorb all that, and that's part of what he has to learn this year. He's going through a little bit of phase right now where he is not attacking the basket the way the Magic need him to. And honestly, I think that's why the offense is suffering. It's suffering because the Magic function when they get in the paint. When they don't get in the paint, when they don't get downhill, that's when they struggle, and teams are going to be looking to take that away all playoffs long. Paolo's going to have to learn how to attack that and still get to his spots and still make the defense collapse around him to free others up and free up the paint a little bit too. It's going to be one of the big challenges for him in the playoffs, and it's a challenge for him right now that he has to do. The Orlando Magic, though, defeat the Portland Trailblazers 104-103. They end their homestand 5-3. They're next on the road in New Orleans on Wednesday to take on the New Orleans Pelicans. But that's going to do it for me today. I want to thank you all again for listening to today's episode of Locked On Magic. Of course, find me on Twitter at @PhilipRR_OMD. Subscribe to the podcast on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, TuneIn, Himalaya, Google Play, Spotify, Odyssey, and all of them is on podcasts to your podcast-enabled listening device. For the latest on the Orlando Magic, be sure to check out OrlandoMagicDaily.com. You can find us there on Twitter at OMagicDaily. And be sure to also check out my Patreon page, the Orlando Magic Hub. You can find it there at patreon.com/Orlando Magic Hub for even more Orlando Magic content and kind of added explorations to the Magic as well. So check that out today. And as always, thank you for your support. Now that you're done listening to us, be sure to check out the Locked On Sports Today 24/7 streaming channel. You can find that on YouTube and now available on Amazon Fire TV and the free Fire TV channels app. Locked On Sports Today is here for you 24/7, covering the top sports stories of the day with the local experts of Locked On, plus our national shows covering every league. Find Locked On Sports Today now available on the free Fire TV channels app. We will be back tomorrow. My plan is to talk a little bit about Franz Wagner and the things he's doing well. We're going to hit that on tomorrow's episode of Locked On Magic from New Orleans. But we'll see you then. Until then, for Orlando Magic Daily and Locked On Magic, this has been Philip Rossman-Reich. We'll see you all again next time for another episode of Locked On Magic.